G Creation, the Tree of Life, Part 10. Alright, so in this one, we've got the opening, and in that opening, we've got the heavens. And so, as we can see within there, we can see all the black holes. In one sense, it looks like energy, almost like lightning arcs going through it all. So it's like a spiritual energy in a sense. But over here, we can see it looks like stars in that way. And so, each star will be a black hole as well. So, in terms of one of the ways, or maybe the way, one other, of how we get into this world. So, as we're a bubble of consciousness, we see each bubble. Oh, it looks like a black hole in that sense, with the light coming around it. And so we got it that way. So each bubble of consciousness comes down to the edge, which is where the light splits. So you get the different colours. So that's where the real world is, like the other side of that. So on here you can see the material world. You can see all the daylight in there and such. So we come down, like in spirit form, through the lightning and connect to the earth in that way. And so the sunlight, it communicates with the water. The information for the design goes through there. If the conditions are right and all these kind of things, then it finds the matchups. Then that information goes to the flowers. We're in the earth's energy, the chi of the earth in that kind of sense. And then we come through the flowers in that way as well. So you kind of like look at it all, and then you like, you go from the lightning and then the root network. You see how it looks like the root network? And so in another sense, it's kind of like teeth as well. So we see like the outside, like the daylight, the sunlight coming through, but we see the material world. And so like in the previous episodes in Waves of Love, we spoke about the waves, didn't we? And we just looked at the outside, we didn't look at the inside. So we could see the shapes of the waves. But it's on the shell. So it's like the hard part of the world in that kind of sense. It's like the spirit is within, and that's the external, the physical. So we see in the spirit world, we see the like arcs of lightning. It looks like water. It looks like fiery as well. And so that mixture of all the different elements. And so if we look at space not like water, but like an ocean of chi, it's like most of it's imperceivable. And so we can't really see all these colours and such. If you could, you won't be able to see very far, you know what I mean? Because it'll block it. These colours are getting way of the background. And so, in that sense. And also, you got the black hole here, you see the ellipse, and then you can see the sun. But it's got a background, so it's not like the sun's filling the hole. It's like it's inside there. It's like within that world. That's what it is. It's like a pocket where the world is. So it's kind of creating that time and space in that kind of sense, outside of the spirit realm. So it becomes a pocket of existence, with its own time and space, whilst it exists within the spirit realm. This one brought lightning. And watery patterns as well. I mean, they're kind of lightning-like as well. So it's like when we combine it all into chi, you know, because it's like it's in our world when we in the real world that it's separated. And so, like sunlight on water, you know, that kind of thing. But you can also see like the lightning arcs and such. And we have a shape of water, but then we have a sunlight which goes through the water, so you get all the cymatic patterns which come through it. So it's, you know, it's kind of displaying both in that way as well. It's saying that it kind of exists within the heavens, and then that's the matchup. So when we get it, we just look sunlight through water. That's the matchup to the chi. And so, you know, that's why that makes the forest network, the communication between spirit and water in the ocean, and then how that replicates onto the land, or how the ocean replicates it, how spirit replicates it. So you get all this, like the light, the colour. It's kind of like a, you can see at the edge how it kind of goes different. So it's like, you know, it's how the light split in that kind of way. You got the same there for where the tunnel is. So on the edge of the tunnel you got all that blue. It's like on the edge. So like on the material world, the division between the spirit realm and the material. See again, it's a mix of energies, but you can see like the water ripples, all that kind of stuff. How the sunlight catches again. But also how it's like energy, so it's how it goes round it. So you got these. Actually, yeah. So you got the sunlight through water, and now it kind of creates that prism effect. So you get your rainbow colours and all them kind of things. That's it. And then also like in terms of that zooming in effect, that lensing effect and such. And so like the distortion of like time and space and such. So when we create that bubble, or when we are that bubble, I mean, you know, we are a bubble in ourselves. So like even the realm kind of has that effect in a way. So you see there, that circle, it's got a centre, all lines are pointing into it. So it's like a star, but it's like its own consciousness. So it's like you went in there and then you'd be within it. You'd experience the world in that kind of sense. So, so you can see it happening there, but the photos above the water, so the water's kind of distorting it. So I don't think it's actually on the clam. But it adds to it. You see the light splitting in that kind of sense. And the blue at the edges again. And so it splits, and then you get all the lightning, and it becomes like teeth, a bit like a crocodile's mouth. But that'd be where your flat plane would be. That's where the lightning comes into. It's like when it comes to the edge, and now it's coming into this. It comes into the world. That's a bad quality picture, but you can see the darkness in that kind of sense. There's a bit of glow like light pollution. So you black hole, but you can't see it all. It's the wrong angle. But you see the energy, these lines, like the structure of it. So it's like how we're describing that star in how the water kind of creates that effect. It's kind of doing that. It's like holding it in its own space and time in that kind of sense. That's that again. You've got, it looks quite cool. You've got all the lightning in the middle. So brightness of it there and such. The other black holes, bubbles of consciousness coming to the edge. To come into the real world in that way. So you got another one. And see all the teeth made out of lightning. It flows through like water, but it's not water, is it? Like I say, it's like a mixture. All the colours change as it gets to the edge where the light splits. Oops. So, again, the water. So, very light water in that kind of sense. And so, again, like comparing it in terms of like, to try and understand what the chi is like, the substance of it, of that material realm in that kind of way. I kind of think water's the closest thing, you know? But I think it has elements of them all. But it's best seen in like that spiritual sense. So water, emotion, all that kind of thing. And so it splits time and space. So that's why it bends out and it becomes its own time and space. Everything flows around it as if it weren't there. Kinda. Unaffected by it. In a way, because that's still not the most accurate wording. So again, not best picture quality. But you got all your clouds, you got all your dots in there, so I assume they're black holes and such. That's probably the lightning between it all. But again, when you compare the clouds to like your nebulas and all these kind of things, so all the Great Chasm as like, you know, the more starry clouds in that kind of area, apart from the gap. So this one, this is more like a spacey kind of picture, and it's kind of like, you know, instead of showing you the imperceivable light, it's showing you what we experience. So when we look into the night sky, even though it's all green in that kind of sense, well, this part's more accurate in a sense. So when we look at the night sky, we can see close to the stars and such. But it's the same thing in that kind of way. It's just a different lens in a sense. So, you know, it's how we see the sky. But then we can compare it with what we're seeing on the other pictures. It's how it relates in that kind of sense. These are another aspect of like forests, all that kind of thing, and valleys, and you know, just because it's green colour with stars. Yeah, some of it's quite dense, so there's a lot of green and such. And you got those yellow bits as well. So like, you know, I don't know, thinking suns and stuff. Suns, black holes, same things. Bubbles of consciousness. You can see inside, and it looks white, but then there's like chasm area, and it looks like you can see into space again. Like the other side of the mouth, like this is one side of the mouth and that's the other side. So like in a crocodile, it's like you can see inside its mouth and then through to space. Or the heavens, rather. So your bubbles come into edges. And you got your pareidolia. So like that cloud, it has the two eyes and such. And so that one's got it. That one's got it. And so on. So it seems to favour that, like two black holes creating the pareidolia. So, like the creation episodes, we're talking about the both the yin and yang coming together to create the one in that kind of sense. So like Krishna and Radha, like, you know, for creating this realm, and such and so on. Let's see, through the tunnel, a different colour, like the green stars and such. You see the stars, the spirits, the souls that travel towards it, and then that's what they are. So it's like we're that sea of energy, that lightning, that chi which is going through it all. And that's the spirit of, you know, collective spirit of us all. Black holes with blue and such. So again, the pareidolia, like the randomness of it. So it's difficult to see the pareidolia, and you just say that, oh, it's just pareidolia. But like, you know, we've seen on some other ones, it's it's quite relevant. You know, to the bubbles of consciousness. So a cloud, we're all part of that cloud in a sense. How it's connected to that. There's that little lightning like in a sense. So you got really proper lightning kind of effects. But again, seeing it in that chi way, it's the mixture of it all. It looks like a face, doesn't it? Like two eyes. You got the glow at sun, the sky, you know, that part. So, we see the same thing. The sunlight, how it becomes into these streaks. And the streaks fall around and such. And then eventually become part of that. And so then you're seeing the sunlight becoming part of the lightning. Again, the lightning look like teeth. And you think about like the your roots in your teeth and such. And so like the roots like lightning, and then your roots also being like the root network of like the heart-brain forest network and such. Look at it again here. It's sun in the background. And so like I was talking about the looking through the down the stem, you know, so when you're seeing the light at the end of a tree, there could be some relevance to that in that way. I mean, it's like the tree is related to us all in that kind of sense and such. You got the mouth there as well. So again, you got the mouth here, and the lightning, and the chi, the energy with the black holes coming into it. It goes on, I like how big it is in that kind of sense. And I kind of think this is part of it in a way. This is like the mouth of the clam. And so, okay, yeah, it's got that as well in that kind of sense. But in terms of like the whole of it, so like the chi goes to the edge. And so then it's into the real world, the material world. So it's the same thing. Dalmatians. So when ocean finds that pattern, that's what it's matching up with. So the splitting of light. You see how it works, how like that blue and that yellow, all that kind of stuff. Like when we looked at that wave and it showed its sun and then it split it and it were all black inside. It's kind of like that in that kind of way. But it's splitting it and it's showing you the world, like the realm which exists within each splitting of light. So like it's like that. It's like when you see sunlight through water, you're only seeing part of it in that kind of sense. And so again, like the reflections episode. Each one being a bubble of consciousness. Each one being a realm in itself. Comes to the edge to experience this world, whilst being a world in itself. There's all the bubbles. So all the bubbles in that kind of way. Seeing background as well, like the little ones and such. And then the tunnel back out. So I kind of think that's got to be an inn. So you get eaten, and then it'll bring you back out into the river. Oops. Yeah, that next picture's for next episode. So again, with a river, you see how it shows you this. It's like symbolic because it's kind of part of that story, how we go through this river in that kind of sense. And it's just that continuous cycle, you know what I mean? There's so many realms to explore and such. And number of it, I don't know, what's this here? If we have holes, it looks like it's got a little dome as well, or maybe not, I'm not sure. There's a couple of them. I'll show this for the last 5 minutes. We've got the basket starfish, and we looked at them before, but now when we consider like we're referencing it to the sun, but also the tree of life itself as well. And so the sun exists within the tree of life, doesn't it? But in this sense, it's kind of replicating it. That's the matchup for it. And so not only is it sunlight going through the water, it's also the chi which goes through all the tree in that kind of sense. And why it kind of takes this form and shape. And it adds relevance to it in that kind of sense. And so, like the lightning, the tree. Is it still a basket starfish? Is that like that spine aspect of things and such? So like flowerfish that we saw in a previous episode, how it had that invisible spine. So it's another version, another way of looking at it and seeing that's like the consciousness of all. That it's all the realms in all the universe, our universe. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I'll get on my next one. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Cheers.